health and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 4.
From toothbrushes to tell you when you missed a spot, to grills that measure the thickness of your meat to hit the perfect temperature faster. The name of the game at this year's Consumer Electronics Show is AI.
If you think about all the products you own that call themselves smart, smartphones, smart watches, smart TVs, and then really think about it, they're not really smart yet. They're connected, they're adapted, they're personalizable. But to really be smart and anticipate your needs, that's where they're going to need AI.
With AI at the top of everyone's mind, the question is, how soon before smart devices become smarter than us?
It'll take a few years for all these tech products to get AI and get smart. Doesn't happen overnight or at one CES. But when it does happen, you're going to find that these products are so much easier to use and deliver so much more.
The Las Vegas event is the largest consumer tech conference of the year. The show will feature more than 4,000 exhibitors and 1,200 startups from all over the world.
It has been a pretty reliable weather vane of what's going to be important in consumer technology in the year ahead.
Beyond AI, CNET editor-at-large Brian Cooley says the big trend this year is personalization.
So that services start to make themselves work, as opposed to us always having to push and click and search and like and create our own preferences. It's time for technology to sense our preferences.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
After 3 months of war, this is a glimpse of central Gaza. Buildings flattened or partially collapsed, others riddled with bullets or scarred by smoke. Civilians nowhere to be found. The outskirts of Al-Burej now under Israeli military control.
The Israeli military has now been fighting on the ground here in central Gaza over the last 2 weeks, and you can see all around me the results of that military campaign. Destroyed buildings, smoke still billowing from parts of central Gaza.
As the fighting rages, the Israeli military is also uncovering the scale of Hamas's underground infrastructure, inviting CNN into central Gaza for the first time to show what they are uncovering. Alongside now bulldozed farmlands and inside a nondescript building, the opening to a tunnel system.
We are standing in one of the main entrances to the manufacturing terror center,
which the Israeli military says Hamas used to manufacture and transport weapons.
So this is the entrance to a tunnel that the Israeli military found in central Gaza. You can walk through here, and they say that if you follow this tunnel all the way down, you get eventually to what is a weapons manufacturing facility that Hamas has been using throughout the war.
Inside that facility, Israeli commanders say Hamas built rockets and mortar shells like these and then filled them with explosive material like fertilizer below ground. The military did not allow reporters underground, saying the chemicals made it too dangerous. But it provided this video it says was filmed inside that underground facility. Steps away in a warehouse alongside a residential building, long-range rockets capable of reaching Tel Aviv or Jerusalem.
What we're seeing is using the embedded civilians industries to build a rocket industry.
But some would say that you are making this point, that Hamas and civilians are embedded, that it's all happening in the same places, to justify the enormous civilian casualties that we have seen in Gaza so far.
We are focusing on Hamas, we're focusing on a war on Hamas, not fighting the people of Gaza.
When you look at the numbers of thousands of children who have been killed in Gaza, are you doing enough to distinguish between Hamas fighters and civilians?
Every death of every child is a tragedy. We didn't want this war.
More than 9,000 children have been killed so far, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, like this girl pulled from the rubble in central Gaza. Tens of thousands of civilians who fled the fighting in the north now at risk here. In Al-Burej, the Israeli military dropped these warning flyers days ago, urging civilians to flee to nearby Deir al-Balah. But the fighting is now raging there too.
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updates on stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
Tonight, President Biden returning to the state.
Thank you.
And the voters.
Thank you.
That he has credited for saving his last presidential campaign.
Thank you, South Carolina. We are very much alive.
Now, as he seeks a second term at the White House, Biden is once again counting on South Carolina to have his back.
We've come too far from where we started. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
The storied Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston was where 9 black worshipers were shot and killed by a white supremacist in 2015. Biden recalling visiting the grieving community as vice president just days after the death of his son, Beau.
We came here to offer comfort. We received comfort from you.
As the Biden campaign starts to ramp up heading into the new year, the president's advisors say they recognize the importance of shoring up support among communities of color, including and especially black voters. With recent polls showing some warning signs of softening support, Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, a co-chair of Biden's 2024 campaign,
It's because of this congregation and the black community of South Carolina, and not an exaggeration, than Jim Clyburn, that I stand here today as your president.
ringing the alarm bell over the weekend.
We have not been able to break through that MAGA wall in order to get to people exactly what this president has done.
Attacking the so-called MAGA movement led by his predecessor, Donald Trump, is already emerging a central focus of Biden's reelect. The president again invoking the January 6th insurrection of 3 years ago.
That violent mob was whipped up by lies from a defeated former president. Insurrectionists waving Confederate flags inside the halls of Congress built by enslaved Americans. For hours, the defeated former president sat in the private dining room off of the Oval Office and did nothing, absolutely nothing. Losers are taught to concede when they lose. And he's a loser.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. Here's our number 1 story of the day. Take a look.
A state of emergency. The American Red Cross says blood supplies are critically low across the U.S.
We don't particularly like declaring emergencies. We're only doing it because the need is that great.
The organization's medical director says an additional 8,000 blood donations are needed each week in January to keep up with hospital demand.
Without an increase in blood donation over the next couple of weeks, there won't be enough blood in hospital blood banks in order to allow doctors to respond to emergencies.
Low blood supplies impact surgeries and people with chronic diseases like sickle cell and cancer who require blood and platelet transfusions. The Red Cross says the number of people donating blood in the U.S. has fallen by about 40% over the last 2 decades. And winter weather and respiratory viruses could impact donor turnout in the weeks ahead, making the current shortage even worse. While all blood types are urgently needed, the Red Cross says they're especially in need of platelets and blood from Group O donors.
There's no way to get blood from anywhere besides a donor's arm, and that blood that you donate could be used to save the life of somebody who's been in a car accident. It could be used to help save a newborn baby, or it could be used to help get a cancer patient through their treatment.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.